Hi, my name is Matthew Jester. I'm just recording a very brief video here going over what hypnosis is and going over the basics. So, I have a certificate of completion here for an online course that I took in hypnosis, and this just shows that I have a obvious, sorry about that, the hypnosis is extremely inhibiting me right now, right? So anyways, this just shows that I have a level of competency in the field of hypnosis. And anyways, this is probably going to end up becoming an example, but I'll go ahead and read it anyways, right? So let's see. Please watch my video, Hypnosis, Abuse, and Speech Inhibition. I will leave a link in the description, and I will also leave additional links in the description of other relevant videos. I've been abused with hypnosis, and my ability to speak is being inhibited with hypnosis, which is why I have to read everything when I make videos. If you notice my stuttering, speaking slowly, if you notice me stuttering, speaking slowly, being unable to speak clearly, or any other difficulty speaking, I explain how this is being done to me in my video. Hypnosis, Abuse, and Speech Inhibition. Also, I will be raising my right index finger whenever the hypnosis is inhibiting my ability to speak, so that I can point out the hypnosis inhibiting my ability to speak without interrupting myself in videos. So please pay attention to my body language when I raise my finger, because you're most likely going to be able to notice the hypnosis. I want to make an example with this video too, I think. So let's go ahead and get started. What? Wrong one? Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first theory is that hypnosis is the same thing as trance. Depending on how you define hypnosis, you could use the terms trance and hypnosis interchangeably, although I personally differentiate, as not all trances will increase an individual's susceptibility to accepting post-hypnotic suggestions or hypnotic commands like hypnosis is intended to. There is no... by the way, if you watch all my other videos, I don't have this extreme severe, inability to speak or inhibition of speech, right? So just make sure that you watch my other videos, because you're not going to see it being that severe. In fact, you see something very unusual, because, this is not a state of inhibited cognition at all. This is hypnosis, especially because of the fact that I start to compensate for the inhibition of the speech by... and this is an involuntary thing too. I start raising my voice, and that's not a sign of confusion, to just start raising your voice and then getting all your muscles tense and everything along those lines. That's not normal. Especially when you compare this video to the other video. So basically, yeah, there is understanding that, I'm not under the influence of anything at all whatsoever. I'm a perfectly sound mind except for the hypnosis. And it is also very apparent in all the other videos. So, there is no official definition on hypnosis that is recognized by the scientific community as a whole, so either definition is technically not incorrect. There we go. So, if you saw how quickly I was able to read that, no problem, right? Compared to the rest of that, that was like, whoa, what? Okay, let's try that again. The first theory is that hypnosis is the same thing as trance. Depending on how you define hypnosis, you could use the terms trance and hypnosis interchangeably, although I personally differentiate, as not all trances will increase an individual's susceptibility to accepting post-hypnotic suggestions or hypnotic commands like hypnosis is intended to. There is no official definition of hypnosis that is recognized by the scientific community as a whole, so either definition is technically not incorrect. Wow, okay. So, of course, I was given a lot of instructions with the hypnosis to make it not noticeable. Please make sure to watch the video Hypnosis, Abuse, and Speech Inhibition. Because I've been making videos all day, every single day for the last 2 weeks. From as soon as I would wake up to when I would go to bed. And they're all on YouTube. I just haven't made all of them public yet. And I started making them public because the hypnosis was inhibiting my ability to complete tasks in a reasonable amount of time. Let's see. So, I'm able to talk just fine right now, no inhibition. It's very noticeable to see the differences and variances that I'm referencing. So, according to the Human Givens theory, hypnosis is any artificial method of accessing the REM state, which is naturally active while dreaming. This theory of hypnosis would provide a logical explanation for all the phenomena that is associated with hypnosis. In case anyone is not familiar with REM or the REM state, it is an acronym for rapid eye movement and is the second stage of sleep when we dream. I'm going to go ahead and finish the video here just because you'll probably end up learning something, just in case anybody tries to make any claims that I'm inhibited or under the influence of anything. So, Hypnosis definitions: somnambulism. Lost the motor control there. Sorry about that. Somnambulism. Somnambulism is the medical terminology for sleepwalking, and in hypnosis is a deep stage of trance that mimics a very similar appearance to sleepwalking, which is why this stage of trance was named somnambulism. This is the stage of trance known to produce the most profound hypnotic effects, and is when post-hypnotic suggestions are primarily given. Also, I want to point out, the muscle tension and everything like that. That was done when I would try to speak even faster, right? To try to hide the strain in my voice, because the strain in my voice would be less noticeable because of the tense and rigid body language, because those would be matching, right? But if they're conflicting or contradictory, then the strain in my voice just stands out way too much. So that's why I started, putting my knee up like that, so that it would be more difficult position for my body to become tense and rigid when I would try to read fast, which is not normal. Like to start reading fast and then become tense and rigid, right? Anyways. So, somnambulism. Somnambulism is the medical terminology for sleepwalking, and in hypnosis is a deep stage of trance that mimics a very similar appearance to sleepwalking, which is why this... Okay, that's where the hypnosis is inhibiting me a lot, right? I'm going to go ahead and read that again. Somnambulism. Somnambulism is the medical terminology for sleepwalking, and in hypnosis is a deep stage of trance that mimics a very similar appearance to sleepwalking, which is why this stage of trance was named somnambulism. This is the stage of trance known to produce the most profound hypnotic effects, and is when post-hypnotic suggestions are primarily given. I also want to point out that specifically during hypnosis, while reading about somnambulism, and while trying to say the word hypnosis, in almost every single video, I have had the exact same problem, where I don't have that problem in any of the other videos, and it's not because of the word somnambulism, because I mess up on the words hypnosis, and it doesn't make any sense, right? Other than, of course, what I'm describing. So, if hypnosis is an artificial method of accessing the REM state in the brain, this would actually be able to explain a lot of the phenomena where, it's able to completely control your unconscious mind, and, it's an aspect of mind control, literally. It is literally able to control a lot of your feelings, your emotions, even physiological processes, some muscle contractions. It can completely inhibit the ability to speak entirely. It is also able to recognize to, of course, the extent that you're able to recognize when somebody would be able to notice behavior. It's able to recognize, a certain context. It doesn't have to be cued by, like, a trigger word like hypnosis, right? For example, in the context of hypnosis, you could have a, post-hypnotic suggestion cued for it. I'll go ahead and start with post-hypnotic suggestion. So, post-hypnotic suggestions. Post-hypnotic suggestions are the instructions and or commands given to subjects while in somnambulism that are carried out upon post-hypnotic suggestions. Post-hypnotic suggestions are the instructions and or commands given to subjects while in somnambulism that are carried out upon waking from trance or after a specified hypnotic cues or after a specified date and or time. I'm sorry about that. Like tense and rigid and everything because of the hypnosis. It's just not normal. Because, like I'm relaxed while I'm talking, but then I get all tense and rigid when I try to read fast. Does that make any sense to anybody? Or is it starting to become really noticeable? Please watch my video, Hypnosis, Abuse, and Speech Inhibition, because when you actually listen, like really listen to the techniques that they're using, you are going to be in shock and terror and mortified. Post-hypnotic suggestions. Post-hypnotic suggestions are the instructions and or commands given to subjects while in somnambulism that are carried out upon waking from trance or after specified hypnotic cues or after a specified date and or time. Heteroaction. Heteroaction means that after successfully responding to one post-hypnotic suggestion, the chances of successfully responding to a different post-hypnotic suggestion will increase. See, I feel this inhibition, and like it's making my neck tense too. I can tell from the hypnosis. And that's why I keep raising my finger, because I'm feeling the inhibition, and I'm I'm trying to stay aware of my neck tensing, right? But the thing is, the strain and difficulty and forcefulness while speaking, which is not normal for speaking at all. But when that happens, what ends up happening, and I'm able to speak much easier and fluently than I am, when I'm reading right now, which is unusual, but anyways, regardless, because you have to put so much effort just into speaking alone, it consumes all my conscious attention so that my unconscious is able to tense all my muscles without me consciously being aware of it. Or also, it's also called distracting the critical faculty. And this was also a technique that they used several times, like, for example, when I would be writing, I would have a hypnotic cue to have some form of distraction, right? Distracting thought. And then while I was writing, I would write an entirely different word than what I intended to write. And that would happen, the hypnosis would produce that effect from me while my critical faculty and conscious attention was distracted. I'll describe in further detail what critical faculty and conscious attention are later. Homoaction. Homoaction means that repetition of a post-hypnotic suggestion will result in a stronger or more intense response to the post-hypnotic suggestion. See, that was easy to read. Critical factor or critical faculty. The critical factor or critical faculty is not a part of the brain or a tangible object. It is just a concept, although a very real concept. Just like the conscious mind or the unconscious mind. Or time. That was one word that was blocked from my memory because I didn't even read that. In hypnosis, there is an important concept known as the critical factor or critical faculty. It means the exact same thing and is most commonly known as the critical factor, although in my hypnosis course it was referred to as the critical faculty, and that is what I'm going to be referring to it as during this video. The critical faculty is responsible for processing, interpreting, analyzing, and questioning information before acceptance into the conscious mind. The critical faculty is commonly described as a filter, firewall, or barrier in between the conscious and unconscious mind that is responsible for processing, questioning, interpreting, and analyzing whether or not the information should be accepted or rejected as true or false in order to develop an accurate understanding of reality. An oversimplified understanding of what the critical faculty is the conscious awareness and short-term memory, although they're not the same thing. Short-term memory is a form of memory. The critical faculty is information processing, and the conscious mind is responsible for more than processing information and short-term memory. The critical faculty is capable of processing a lot of information very quickly, although is limited in its information processing capabilities. The critical faculty is limited to processing 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information at a time, or 5 to 9 bits of information at a time. Similar to short-term memory in regards to remembering phone numbers. As an example, children under the age of 7 have underdeveloped critical faculties that readily accept information without questioning, processing, analyzing, or interpreting the information. An example of this would be how children will believe in the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and the Tooth Fairy. In the deep hypnotic trance known as somnambulism, the critical faculty can be less capable of rejecting information than that of a small child. Hypnosis will bypass the critical faculty in a variety of ways so that suggestions will be accepted by the unconscious mind without being questioned or analyzed. Common methods for this include confusion, distraction, overwhelming processing capability, and shock. In Ericksonian hypnosis and subliminal messaging, the critical faculty is often bypassed by distracting and consuming conscious attention to an overwhelming extent that no conscious attention is drawn to the post-hypnotic suggestions or subliminal messages that are involuntarily accepted by the unconscious mind because the ability to process and or question the information is bypassed. The second method is seen in direct hypnosis and stage hypnosis, which uses shock to stimulate the reorientation response, which is a survival mechanism used to rapidly adjust to a situation in an emergency and stimulates a fast-acting pathway in the brain called a PGO spike. During the reorientation response, processing capabilities are limited and the critical faculty can sometimes be bypassed, which can result in automatic or immediate acceptance of sensory stimuli and even the suggestion to sleep, inducing the subject into somnambulism. During the reorientation response, the mind is reorienting all sensory stimuli and information simultaneously, resulting in an overload of information that overwhelms the critical faculty's processing capability and stimulating the reorientation response. And the PGO spike is often used in rapid inductions to induce somnambulism in less than 5 minutes and used in instant inductions to induce somnambulism in less than 1 minute. Okay, there we go. So if you notice the strain and difficulty that I had when I started talking about reorientation response, the mind is reorienting all sensory stimuli and information simultaneously, resulting in an overload of information. That is a very consistent, strenuous portion of speech and all of the videos as well, just like the, I mean, that's where the patterns become even more noticeable, because it's happening at the same times. And this is, I think, video 42 now, maybe video 43, or even 44. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, and please watch the video, Hypnosis, Abuse, and Speech Inhibition, because I need to reverse the effects of the hypnosis. This is extremely abusive, and I can't handle having this happen anymore. Thank you for your time and watching the video. Have a great day.